Now, I mean, I gotta say, if you want to make me sit through the entire ending credits of the game, this is not an entirely terrible way to do it. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is amazing. It's it's sort of a masterpiece in its own right, because if you think Super Mario World is a masterpiece, this is kind of that, but with a lot of fresh ideas and a beautiful interpretation of the art style with 3D techniques, and it still looks like Super Mario World for the most part. And when you're not Elephant Mario, when you're not in a Wonder Seed, then it looks very different. But you know, it has a lot of the same artistic styles around how Mario's designed, how everybody looks, the proportions and everything, and very much the level design. And there's a lot of interactive switches and interactive elements in Mario Wonder that I think are very similar with the ones that you would find in Super Mario World, which is the first video game I ever actually owned, because I played a lot of NES games at my friends' houses, but I never owned an NES until years later when I bought one like at a flea market and bought like a copy of the original Metal Gear and things like that. But I wasn't like an OG NES gamer. I did play the living hell out of Super Mario World. I think the new power-ups are a lot of fun to use. The drill head and the elephant head and the flower, the water flower as opposed to the fire flower, all those are pretty cool. I think they fit well with all the other Super Mario Brothers style power-ups, even though they are kind of unique and do their own things. I guess, you know what, it would have been nice to have Yoshi. The Yoshi system in Super Mario World, I think, is incredible, and there was none of that represented here. The multiplayer stuff, don't know, don't care. I've never really been a multiplayer Super Mario guy. Even like in the old days when it was 2-player Mario, it would be like someone does the level and then another person does the level. This whole 4 people on the one level at the same time thing, I don't need it. It's I'd like to. I don't even like when the level scrolls for you. I like kind of moving through at my own speed. If I can play it like it's a Sonic the Hedgehog game, it just means I've mastered that area pretty well, or my instincts are on point if I'm just playing through it for the first time and firing through it like that. But I'm not like a platforming expert guy. I'm not like Craig. Stuttering Craig is the OG like prodigy when it comes to 2D platformers in our greater sphere. I'm pretty good at first-person shooters and Souls games, though. Not incredible at either, but I'd say those are the areas where my strengths lie as a skilled gamer. I think that you should buy Super Mario Bros. Wonder because it's amazing, and Nintendo did it twice this year. They're 3 in a row as far as I'm concerned on the franchises that I care about. Were them releasing entries in. They did Metroid Dread, which I think is the best 2D Metroid game, and I know that might be a hot take, but I actually think it is. The boss fights in that game are incredible, and they kind of bump it above Super Metroid just a touch. A lot of people have made the argument for Fusion being the best one. On replaying Fusion, its linearity is a big problem for it in the context of Metroid. It's not a bad game, it's a great game. And it's really good for people that are new to Metroid, like if it's your first Metroid game. Fusion holds your hand a lot more than the other games do, which has the effect of teaching you how Metroid game design works. So David Jaffe, maybe you should try Metroid Fusion. Because it does a lot less, hey, just bomb anywhere and find a route. More, hey, there's a tiny little area, explore the thing within the area. The second time Nintendo did it in the same stretch of time, even though technically it's this year, Metroid Dread was last year? 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? I feel like it was. Wow. Oh man. Okay, never mind. So Nintendo, I guess they didn't rule. Well, did they? Was it? It's 2021, right? This is 2023. So yeah, it was 2 years ago. Okay. Tears of the Kingdom was up next, and it was, I think, an incredible Zelda game. Incredible game in its own right, really. It didn't actually impress me for its Zelda game isms. It impressed me by being like the most flexible adventure game ever. Maybe, like, I don't know, pretty close to the top. I love this game though. I think it's amazing, and I think that you could very, very much play it no matter what age you are, no matter what style of games you like. I think this is a game that can appeal to a lot of people because it's just fun. It's just a fun video game that has really good level design, a lot of creative ideas, tons of gameplay variety despite it always being a side-scrolling platformer. It's the ideas that they throw into that formula to be like, hey, why don't we spice it up with this thing for just this one level and make the player adapt to it? But then maybe we'll use an element of it somewhere in another level so it's not just a one-off. And they do a lot of stuff like that, and it's really, really creative and cool and interesting, and it makes puppies happy. This is Rocky, by the way. He has a very lucky belly that I scratch for luck in video games. He likes it, so he lets me do it. But I'm mostly using him for his luck. But yeah, so that's it. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Definitely belongs on some Game of the Year nominations lists. And yeah, Nintendo's got 2 slots there for me now, man. Well, how many games are nominated for Game of the Year? Those like award things? Because like, again, I don't put much stock in the Game Awards award show, but I like thinking about my own. Like, what are my top games of this year? Like, how do these games stack up against other games within the context of a year? And I don't think it's possible for me to not say Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Brothers Wonder are 2 of the best games I played this year. I don't think neither of them are my favorite. Because I think favorite, like my personal tilt and enjoyment I got out of it, I think it'd be Lies of P and Baldur's Gate 3. But a lot of that is me liking that style of game, whereas this is universally just very, very good game design across the board from beginning to end. And I think Tears of the Kingdom is arguably the same. I'm not crazy about how Tears of the Kingdom runs. This game, despite being a Nintendo Switch game, runs at a solid 60 FPS. I was getting a couple frame rate hitches because of shader compilation, but I'm emulating, so that does happen, which pretty much means every time there's a new animation that's never shown up before at all, it does a little stutter because it's compiling that animation into the shader directory that you have in emulators, and it'll run better actually now on this computer at least, though I might be able to take the shader cache data and move it over, so I don't know, that's all. It's a lot of mumbo jumbo emulation stuff. But even if you're emulating, buy this game, everybody. Actually buy a copy, because I want Nintendo to make a lot of money on games like Metroid Dread, Tears of the Kingdom, and Super Mario Wonder. And I want them to lose money every time they release some bullshit cash-in kind of thing. Including when they just redo Pokemon games and make them worse than their originals, which were released on the 3DS or something, you know? Like, I don't know how they're not doing well with Pokemon. But I'm not a Pokemon guy, so I'm not really rating that. I'm just going by what I hear from Pokemon fans. I wasn't crazy about the most recent Star Fox game they made, and I really do like Star Fox. So that's one I'd like them to give a little more attention to. And it was Platinum's fault, too, because they made it. But I love Platinum. I think they're great. However, they do make some bad games sometimes. With those bad games not being at least Bayonetta 1 and 2. I haven't gotten through 3 yet. Vanquish, Metal Gear Rising, Nier Automata. I think those are unimpeachable. Am I forgetting one? I think I am. I feel like I'm forgetting a really good Platinum game. It's not very important, though. The important thing is you should buy Super Mario Brothers Wonder, because it's really good. But you should emulate it on PC if you want to play it in 4K. Because it looks great in 4K. Like, it upscales really, really well. And because it runs at 60, it's just like, oh, the PC. This is what the PC version would look like if you did release it, which is why Nintendo should just release them. Listen to the guy who looks like your mascot. You know? I've got the thing. Makes me kind of a bigger position of authority on all things Mario, doesn't it?